Hello everyone, and again, welcome to Federal Signal Pathfinder Programming Basics. And in today's episode, we will be covering the OBD2 cable. To get to that screen, you're going to need to go to Edit Hardware, and you're going to have to go to the top right where it says Has OBD2 Cable. We're going to click that. And in this case, we'll be using a 2017 Ford Police Interceptor utility as the cable or as the vehicle of choice. If you're confused on what cable you should buy, you should contact Federal Signal customer service, and they should be able to help you with what cable you should buy. If you actually look through this list, it'll tell you different cables for different situations that it recommends. You can contact your rep or customer service, and they should be able to tell you exactly what cable you need for what situation you're using it for. So, as soon as you select whatever vehicle you will be using, which is mine is the 2017 Police Interceptor, we're going to go to Continue. And now you see a new box with a bunch of new little buttons. So, to start editing these buttons, you're going to need to go to the right where there's a new button that says Federal Signal Vehicle Integration. You're going to click that, and you have 16 CAN bus signal that you're able to control now. So, in my example, we're going to set CAN bus signal 1 to key position. Where are you? There you are. So what key position does is allows you to turn on and off the Pathfinder without using the yellow ignition wire. It's very helpful. I personally don't use the yellow wire myself. I use the OBD2 cable. A lot more reliable, a lot better. There's so much more you can do with the OBD2 cable. I strongly recommend it. Put in every vehicle. Big cool thing to do. So, like I said, we're going to set CAN bus 1 to key position. We're going to close this. And now you see that CAN bus 1 became key position. So the way we're going to be able to turn on and off the Pathfinder is select the key position button. We're going to go to the top right where the button properties are. We are going to keep everything the same. Momentary, all this is off. Primary operator is equal. And then key position is going to be set to off. We're going to close that. And we're going to go to miscellaneous. So what we're going to do now is hit device shuts down immediately. You're going to get this warning command. It says shutdown command is in place in the off step of ignition. Verify that the command is configured as intended. Ignore this warning. The vehicle or the Pathfinder will still shut off when the vehicle's off as long as your OBD2 cable is working correctly. You don't need to worry about this. It's not very important. I've never figured out a way to make this go away, but every time I've ever programmed any vehicle, it's always worked as intended. So I think this is just a generic warning. So we have device shuts down immediately. Now we're going to go back to what we did last episode of setting inputs and groups. We're going to go to system. We're going to go to priority settings. So we want to make sure, since we are no longer using the key position or the ignition wire, we want key position to be number 1. And we actually want to move ignition wire all the way to the bottom. All the way to the bottom. So now we have key position as number 1, local PA as number 2, remote, and so forth. We want to make sure that we're not using the ignition wire. So if you have connected your OBD2 cable and you want to do what I'm doing, you need to ensure that you've disconnected your yellow ignition wire from the Pathfinder. Tape it, wire it, cut it, it doesn't matter. Don't use it anymore because it will interfere with what we're doing now. So now that we have the cable cut or tied off and we have the priority set all the way to the back, we can close this. And to further step our positioning on what the ignition cable is not going to be doing anymore, we can go to additional input, hit the ignition button, and we are going to go to button properties, and we are going to name this to disabled. So we know it doesn't do anything, doesn't need to do anything. Now we know it's disabled. Go to system, go to priority settings, and now we see that ignition has been renamed disabled. So we know that it still is the ignition wire, but we cut it so it doesn't do anything now. Now the key position is the way that we turn on the car. You can even go further and rename this to Pathfinder. Oh, never mind, I guess there's a character limit. Pathfinder startup. But I don't want to do that. I want to keep it as key position because I'll remember. Maybe you won't. Maybe you can change it to whatever you want. We're going to keep it key position. So now that you've done that, the car or the Pathfinder will now turn on and off via the key position. Really helpful. It's really nice. There's so many other things you can do with the OBD2 cable. In my case, with an older vehicle, they're not going to be supporting all the fancy things, and I don't even know if they could. So, with obviously getting with newer vehicles, you can get fancier things. In my case, I can only do so many things. Um, some really cool things I've done personally on my vehicles is I set a brake mode. So when the brake is being pressed, you've got certain lights that are turning on and certain lights that are turning off. Really helpful to add extra lighting when you're just doing basic things like driving your car, braking, turning left, right, high beams, things like that. Something I want to remind everyone though of is if you are going to add your function or add OEM lighting functionality to your wheel and ions, your micropulses, or sound off, or code through, or whatever, you need to really ensure that you turn the dimming setting down to the lowest. In my case, I've learned that 6% is actually like the perfect amount. It looks almost OEM, maybe even a little bit dimmer than OEM lights, because if you have it up to 100%, it's very bright, it's blinding, and you could become a danger at night just driving your vehicle. So it's definitely easier just to turn it all the way to low. Not all lights I've noticed do function that way. I've noticed that there's some sound off signal products that just don't like to be manually dimmed. I don't know why, but I've had good luck with the wheel and ions and micropulses without any issue. So if you're going to be using your external lighting for OEM functions like turning left, right, high beams, or brakes, or actually, high beams probably not so much. You're gonna want to keep that on the highest setting. But brakes and left, right turn signals, you're gonna want to turn that all the way to the lowest. Maybe 12% might work. It might still be too bright. I personally just found that 6% is the best. You've got a lot of other settings, like I said. In your free time, go over some of these things. I don't use every single one of these things, but there's certain things you can do that could be very helpful in your future. We'll cover more advanced canvas settings in the future on advanced. Right now, we're just covering the basics, like I've mentioned in every video so far. If you've enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you next time.